that you're able to see those as non-chord tones. The only way you can see a non-chord tone is to recognize how you approach it and how you leave it, right? Okay, so when I'm looking at a non-chord tone, let's say I'm going from an F major chord, okay, to a G minor 7, okay? Oh, this is next. Okay, there. Trying to think off the top of my head. Okay. Okay, so I have F major. This is G minor 7. That doesn't fit. How do I analyze it? How do I find out what it is? How it's approached and how it's left. So do I determine how it's approached by going from the bass note up to that and down?
No.
No, you laughed at me, and that's because that was kind of a stupid thing, right? That would be like a foundation student trying to do theory 2. Is it this?
No.
Why not?
It's not the same voice.
It's not the same voice.
Very good.
Very good. Okay. There's another term that we could use for the word voice, and that would be line. It's not in the same line. Got it? Okay.
So to speak.
Yeah, because that line is up here. The alto line is this to this. Okay? Now, do piano parts have lines? They can. They can. Look at this one. Can you see any lines in the piano part? Look at piano 1. Look at piano 1. How many lines do you see? 2. I see a right-hand line and a left-hand line. Okay. Look down at piano 2. How many lines do you see?
2, 3.
2 to breaking into 3 to breaking into 4. He looks like he kind of splits off into multiple parts, right? But you can see the lines all the way through there. Yeah? Okay, everybody following this? Okay, all right. Now follow my train of thought. So, in this case, we explained away the A and the C sharp as non-chord tones that fit in certain lines. Okay? So they could be talked about as being linear movement. Okay? Instead of, we're used to thinking of chordal movement. I plop a chord down there and I voice it out. And I plop another chord down and I voice it out. But when you are doing part writing, because I know you guys, when you part write, you would laugh at me if I was part writing 1, 6, 2, 5, and if I did my part writing like this, okay, I'm on a 1 chord in the key of F. I'm part writing that. C, F. Now I'm going to part write my 6th chord. I've got a D, and I need an F, and I need an A, and I need a D. And now I'm going to a 2 chord. It's a G minor chord. So I want a G, and I want a B flat, and I want a D, and I want a G. And now, okay, why are you laughing at me? I spelled the chords right.
Well,
why are you all chuckling?
For singers.
I'm trying to teach you something, okay?
yeah.
Why are you all chuckling? What did it doesn't look, why doesn't it look right?
Because the lines aren't.
What did I teach you about about the importance of part writing? They have to be sung.
Single.
That's the whole point. They were intended to be sung.
Yeah, but
And this person who is doing this is just plopping down chunks of chords, blocks of chords, not realizing that Denise is going to have to sing that part.
or I'd have to sing the tenor.
Okay?
Which is a bit out
Or
of
Joe would have to sing this, you know, or Benjamin would have to sing that.
Yeah,
Okay?
that's
And
quite a
90% of the time, if I gave you all those pitches, I bet it would be a major catastrophe.
No kidding, Doc.
Mhm. So, what's the point of part writing rules? They're not just rules to make it look a certain way. The point is it should be
Singable.
singable. That's the whole point. And when you remember my analogy about writing for my brass players at church,
Oh yeah.
and the trombone player that tore up my perfectly, that I spent hours doing that thing, and he ripped it up and threw it to shreds and said, "That's a bunch of bunk. Didn't you learn part writing?" I went, "Well, yeah, that's for voices." And he went, "Idiot, the rest of us have to hear music too. How do you expect me to play those notes? I have to hear what I'm going to play before I hit them." And I went, he said, "Here, you play a G major scale on that trombone." I went, "Well, I don't know, it's different." He says, "It's not like a piano. On that piano, you just hit a C. But we have to hear it, and then valve it, and make it happen. Jump it, and wait. 3 little valves, right? All those notes they've got to hit with 3 little valves. Okay? So they got to hear it in order to be able to write it. Meaning, the whole reason we do part writing rules is because we've got to learn to write lines. We are writing parts, an alto part. So I'm really creating a line against a line against a line against a line. Okay, now, occasionally in the creation of lines, when we add non-chord tones, it makes a real pretty line, but it's not necessarily a part of the chord. Okay? It's making a real pretty line. So that's an example of a chord that exists strictly by accident because it's a part of linear movement. The composer created a nice line here and a nice line in that voice, and they made the line better by giving it a little pain right at that point. Oh, that feels good. Ah, and that's what non-chord tones do. Give me a little ah in the middle of all the rest of the stuff. So when you listen to this Brahms piece, I'm going to play it slow to give you the better feeling. Okay, I could have left out those non-chord tones, and I've got a nice functional 2-5-1 progression, but it has no Okay? Now, these chords, because it makes a chord that is a chromatic chord, it's sometimes referred to as chromatic linear movement. Okay? Follow that?
Yeah.
Which sets us up for exception number 4.
What's that?
Okay, so exception number 4 is called chromatic linear movement. Okay, so go back to your other sheet. Let's list, when we're listing all of our exceptions. Okay, we have extended tonalization, we have deceptive resolution, we have enharmonic interpretation, and now we have chromatic linear movement. Okay, and this Brahms example is perfect. Perfect. So, when something is chromatic linear movement, the non-chord tones accidentally create real harmony. Okay? But that's not the point. So, you don't give it a functional analysis. Because it's non-functional.
Right.
It's strictly linear movement. So you just call it chromatic linear movement. And then you analyze the non-chord tones. Do you give it a pop chord? Yes. Because it creates a pop chord. So you give it a pop chord, but you don't worry about giving it an analysis. Okay? Now, you save chromatic linear movement for when all of these other exceptions fail you. Okay? You save it for when all the others fail you. Then you come down and you can call it chromatic linear movement. So, what you should call chromatic linear movement, you should make these notes about it. It is non-functional writing.
Non-functional writing.
It is non-functional harmony. Since it's non-functional, it should not have a Roman numeral. Right? Secondly, you can most of the time analyze it away or explain it away as a bunch of chromatic non-chord tones.
Okay.
Okay? So it can be explained away as non-chord tones. Now, we're going to have a subset for chromatic linear movement. We're going to have a 4A just in a minute. Okay. Go on to the next measure. The next measure has this D sharp diminished 7 over C, right? Okay. Can we explain that away? Because looking at it, first of all, let's check to see, can I call it extended tonicization?
No.
No. Can it be deceptive resolution?
No.
It's not a dominant chord. Could it be enharmonic interpretation? Well, I'm not sure yet. How do I spell D sharp fully diminished 7? It's D sharp, F sharp, A, C. Are any of those notes a half step down from C? So it can resolve up a half step to C.
No.
Nope. So it doesn't fit this.
Chromatic linear movement.
So I've just gone through and very methodically, okay, some of you are good method people, okay? Joe, you're a great method person, okay? So you go through and no, it doesn't fit that. No, it doesn't fit that. No, it doesn't fit that. So can I explain it away as non-chord tones? Let's see. What would you call the F sharp? You got a B flat jumping down to that F sharp and resolving up to G. Appoggiatura. Okay. The C is already a part of the coming up C chord, right? Okay. The D sharp looks like a chromatic passing tone. So it isn't a functioning chord.
Chromatic linear
It's
movement.
chromatic linear movement. And this one is a particular type of chromatic linear movement.
What's that?
Okay? This was Dr. Cho's favorite. He loved this one. Okay? He called it appoggiatura chord.
Appoggiatura chord.
Appoggiatura chord.
Good.
Okay, now here's a definition for an appoggiatura chord. An appoggiatura chord must be fully diminished 7th. It cannot be a dominant, it cannot be a secondary dominant, it cannot be half diminished, it can't be a triad, it must be a fully diminished 7th chord. Okay, now, to prepare you for the rest of my definition, pause. Okay, look up here. If this was a nice, well-behaved D sharp diminished 7th chord, what would you expect it to resolve to?
E.
E minor, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Spell E minor.
E, G, B.
E, G, B. Are there any notes in common?
No.
Nada.
Nada.
Okay. So, well-behaved diminished 7th chords don't have anything in common with what comes after them.
Right.
And the root goes up a half step.
Of course.
Okay. Let's suppose that I had used this as enharmonic interpretation.
Uh-huh.
Suppose I resolve to a G chord.
Right.
Okay? Could it be enharmonic interpretation? The F sharp resolves to the G, right?
Yeah.
So it's behaving like 7 diminished 7 of G,
Uh-huh. Okay.
even though it's spelled that way.
I see.
And how would that resolve? It'd go to a G chord.
Oh.
Does it have any notes in common?
No.
None. So, it is a well-behaving, functioning,
Okay.
even though it's harmonically interpreted,
Yeah.
it's still functioning.
Uh-huh.
Okay, now, look at this one, and this is what this piece does.
Uh-huh.
It's a D sharp fully diminished seventh chord. It resolves to a C7.
Uh-huh.
It's got a note in common.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
Everybody see that?
Yeah, you're right.
Okay,
You're right.
so an appoggiatura chord is a fully diminished seventh chord which has at least one note in common. With the next chord. It has at least one note in common with the subsequent chord. Okay, everybody got that?
Yes.
So, again, it can be explained away as non-chord tones. Okay, it can be explained away as non-chord tones because it's a subset of chromatic linear movement. So, not all chromatic linear movement are appoggiatura chords,
Of course.
but all appoggiatura chords are chromatic linear movement.
I see.
Okay. So, this case, since we have one note in common, the C to the C,
Uh-huh.
we call this appoggiatura chord. Or you could say chromatic linear movement, and it is an appoggiatura chord. It's both. But it's important to recognize that it's functioning like an appoggiatura chord. Okay? All right. Look at this one. G sharp diminished 7. So we go down our list. Is it extended tonicization? No. Is it deceptive resolution? No. Could it be behaving as enharmonic interpretation? None of those notes could go up a half step to an F. Ah, and my antenna went up.
CLM.
It has a common tone.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So it is a appoggiatura chord, and then I look to be sure, can I explain away all those notes as non-chord tones? So looking at it, the B natural looks like a passing tone. The G sharp looks like a passing tone. So I've just explained it all away. If you look up at piano 1, you see the D. The D looks like a appoggiatura. Okay? So what he's done is he's taken a basic generic blah progression. 1, 2, 5, 1. And he's interspersed chromatic linear movement. Beautifully done, beautifully done. Could we own that?
Own?
Own.
As in.
When I own something,
Make it yours.
I can create it, I can explain it, and then I own it. Then it's mine.
I
It's
see.
not something I'm just observing. I really own it.
I see.
Give me a 4-chord, very basic blah chord progression. 1, 4, 5, 1. Okay. Let's insert some funky stuff. Okay, we'll do it in the key of C. Okay, we're going to insert some fun stuff. So I want to insert some chromatic linear movement. Well, I have to. It helps if I can kind of see what I'm doing. So I'm going to give myself a.
You're fine, bro.
Okay. So I got a C chord. I'm going to an F chord. I want to go by way of this.
Okay.
What is that?
Looks like E7 over
Looks like an
D.
E7. And see, I've got a accented passing tone, That's just carrying over. That's an upper neighbor tone. Okay. And then I wind up with this. Instead of 1, 4, I've got. Okay. And then I want to go here.
Jesus.
What did Brahms do? He used an appoggiatura chord right here. Right? So let's use an appoggiatura chord. I need some kind of a fully diminished 7th chord that has something in common with the G. Like a E diminished 7. Has a G in it.
Okay.
Right? Okay.
B flat.
And I want a diminished 7th chord that has a C in it.
A flat. A sharp.
A.
A diminished 7. Okay. Okay. So now instead of 1, 4, 5, 1, I'm going to have. Okay. I didn't voice that really well. Okay, there it is. Okay. 1.
Ow!
Effect to what he did. So it gives a similar kind of effect to what he created.
Yeah.
Now I owned what he did.
Okay.
Would you still call that an authentic key? Yeah.
So.
Because this is just kind of the order of the record. Okay. These chords are sometimes also referred to as color chords.
Color chords, okay.
They're just in there for the color they create momentarily, not for any kind of functionality.
I see.
Okay, all right. Now, next page. Do I have time?
It's 10:43.
Okay. Okay, this page is easier. So we've got on the measure